Single dad saves a crying bride from a highway crash. She doesn't remember who she was running from. Rain slashed the Tennessee highway, asphalt shimmering under Willow Creek's stormy sky. Jasper Holt gripped the wheel of his pickup, wipers thumping, his leather wristband damp from the memory of his late wife. His daughter Ivy slept at home, her star hairpin tucked on her pillow. Headlights caught a figure, a woman in a torn wedding gown, stumbling, mascara streaking like black rivers. Jasper slammed the brakes, heart pounding, and ran to her, rain soaking his flannel. Hey, you okay?" he called. She collapsed, sobbing, a silver locket engraved MV glinting at her throat. "I don't know," she whispered, her eyes wild, memory a void. Jasper draped his jacket over her trembling shoulders, her hands clutching the fabric. "You're safe now," he said, humming a blues tune to calm her, its low notes steady in the storm. He drove her to Willow Creek, the diner's neon cutting through the mist. Ruth, the owner, knitted at the counter, her scarves piled high, gray hair loose. "Oh, Lord, what's this?" she gasped, seeing the bride. Jasper helped her into a booth, her gown muddy, veil tangled. "Found her on the highway," he said, voice low. "No name, no memory." Ruth poured coffee, calling her Mira after the locket's initials. Mira sipped, her gaze distant, fingers tracing the locket's edge. Jasper's wristband tightened, his heart stirring for the stranger carrying a storm. Outside, a black sedan idled across the street, its driver unseen in the rain's blur. Jasper's hum faltered, a chill settling as he watched Mira, her trembling hands betraying a story she couldn't tell. The diner smelled of burnt toast and coffee, its chipped mugs steaming on the counter. Jasper sat across from Mira, her locket catching the neon's red glow, her torn gown swapped for Ruth's spare sweater. "You remember anything?" he asked, his wristband creased, Ivy's origami crane tucked in his pocket. Mira shook her head, fingers brushing the locket. "Just running," she said, her voice fragile like glass about to crack. Ruth slid a bowl of soup across, her scarf half knit, maternal eyes soft. "Eat, child. You're home for now." Mira's gaze flickered, grateful but shadowed. Jasper hummed his blues tune, its rhythm grounding her. "I'm Jasper," he said, leaning forward. "Got a girl, Ivy. We'll figure this out." Mira's lips twitched, almost a smile, her fingers loosening on the locket. "Thank you," she whispered, voice warmer. "Hey." Caleb, a lanky teen in a crooked beanie, burst through the door, library books under his arm. "Jasper, Ivy's asking for you." Jasper nodded, then turned to Mira. "Stay with Ruth. You're safe." She nodded, her sweater's hem frayed, soup spoon steadying in her hand. As Jasper stepped into the rain, the black sedan circled again, its silver-ringed driver, Vincent, watching from the shadows. Ruth's knitting paused, her eyes narrowing at the window. Mira clutched her spoon, a memory flashing, a mansion's marble floor, a cold vow, gone before she could hold it. Jasper's cabin hugged a creek, its weathered wood glowing under firelight. Ivy greeted him, her star hairpin glinting, origami cranes scattered on the pine table. "Who's the lady?" she asked, eyes wide, clutching a paper star. Jasper knelt, his wristband soft against his wrist. "Someone who needs us, Starlight," he said, humming her bedtime blues tune, tucking her in with a kiss. He returned to the diner, bringing Mira to the cabin's spare room. "It's not much," he said, spreading a quilt over the cot, its patches faded. Mira's locket swayed, her sweater loose, eyes tracing the room's knots and beams. "It's everything," she said, voice soft, fingers clutching Ruth's sweater. Ivy peeked in, offering a crane, its wings creased. "For luck," she said, smiling, her hairpin catching the lamplight. Mira's eyes warmed, taking the crane, her breath steadying. Jasper sat with her on the porch, the creek's murmur weaving through the night. "You're safe here," he said, his hum low, steady. Mira nodded, her fingers tracing the locket, a memory flickering, a man's cold voice. "You're mine," she gasped, dropping the crane, its wings crumpling. Jasper's hand steadied hers, warm, calloused. "What is it?" Her eyes met his, fear pooling. "I don't know who I am." Ruth's call crackled on his phone. Vincent had asked about a bride at the diner, his silver ring gleaming. Jasper's hum stopped, his protective instinct flaring, the creek's quiet no match for the storm brewing. The library smelled of wax polish and old paper, its shelves a labyrinth in Willow Creek's misty heart. Jasper brought Mira, her locket glinting under fluorescent lights, Ivy skipping ahead with Caleb, his beanie askew. "Let's find her story," Caleb said, cracking open his laptop, fingers flying. Mira hesitated, her sweater soft, Ivy's crane tucked in her pocket. "What if I don't want to know?" she asked, voice low, fingers brushing the locket. Jasper's wristband creased, his hum a quiet anchor. "You're more than your past, Mira." He helped Caleb search news archives, missing brides, highway crashes, nothing matched. Ivy tugged Mira to a table, an origami book open. "Make a star?" she asked, hairpin shining. Mira folded one, her hands trembling, a memory flashing, a wedding veil, a scream in a marble hall. She winced, the star crumpling. Jasper's hand found her shoulder. "You're okay," he said, voice steady. Caleb pulled up a photo, a woman like Mira at a gala, arm linked with Vincent, his silver ring stark. "Who's this guy?" Caleb asked, zooming in. Mira stared, heart racing, her locket heavy, no answers surfacing. Jasper's eyes darkened, Ruth's warning about Vincent echoing in his mind. The library's hush wrapped them, but suspense curled like smoke, Vincent's shadow stretching closer. The diner's neon buzzed, steam curling from chipped mugs on the scratched counter. Jasper and Mira sat in a booth, her locket warm against her sweater, Ivy coloring nearby, her star hairpin glinting. Ruth knitted across the room, her scarf trailing, watching them with a soft smile. "You two look right together," she teased, needles clicking. Mira blushed, her origami star resting on the table. Jasper hummed, his wristband soft, eyes lingering on her. "Just helping," he said, but his voice betrayed a deeper pull. Mira helped Ivy fold a crane, their laughter a soft ripple in the diner's hum. "You're good with her," Jasper said, leaning closer, his blues tune fading. Mira's locket swayed, her fingers brushing Ivy's paper. "She's easy to love." Their hands grazed, a spark igniting in the neon's glow. A memory surged, a mansion's cold halls, Vincent's ringed hand gripping hers. Mira flinched, her crane falling. Jasper caught her hand. "Stay here, Mira," he said, his words a vow beyond the moment. Vincent stepped in, his suit crisp, silver ring gleaming under the lights. "Lost something, Mira?" he asked, voice smooth, eyes cold. Jasper stood, broad shoulders squared. "She's not yours to claim." Ruth's knitting froze. Ivy's crayon paused, the air thick. Vincent smiled, sliding a note across the counter. "You can't hide." He left, but suspense lingered, Jasper's hand still on Mira's, their bond a shield in the diner's warmth. The creek murmured outside Jasper's cabin, fireflies weaving through the dusk. Jasper and Mira sat on the porch, Ivy asleep inside, her star hairpin glinting on the table. "You don't have to stay," Jasper said, his wristband creased, humming a low blues note. Mira's locket glowed, her origami star clutched in her hand. "You're my safe place," she said, her voice raw, eyes tracing the creek's silver ripples. They walked along the water, her sweater catching on a branch. Jasper freed it, their hands lingering, his calluses brushing her skin. "I lost my wife 3 years ago," he said, voice heavy. "Didn't think I'd feel this again." Mira's eyes met his, warm, steady. "I'm finding you piece by piece, Jasper." Their lips brushed, soft, urgent, a promise sealed in starlight. Ivy's sleepy call broke the moment, and they returned, Mira folding a new crane for her bedside. "Do." A car's engine growled in the distance, Vincent's black sedan circling Willow Creek's edges. Jasper's hum faltered, his arm tightening around Mira, suspense coiling in the creek's gentle whisper, their fragile romance tested by the shadow closing in. The church's stained glass cast rainbows across Willow Creek's pews, its wooden beams creaking in the morning mist. Jasper brought Mira and Ivy, his wristband damp, a thermos of Ruth's soup in hand. "Oh, you're safe here," he said, humming, the blues tune soft. Mira's locket swayed, her origami star tucked in her sweater. "I don't deserve this kindness," she said, voice low, eyes on the altar. Ivy hugged her, hairpin glinting. "You're our friend, Mira." They sat in a pew, Mira sketching a memory on a hymnal's margin. A veil, a locked door, a man's shadow. Jasper watched, his hand brushing hers. "You're more than that sketch," he said, his voice a quiet vow. Her eyes warmed, romance stirring in the church's hush. Caleb rushed in, his beanie askew, breathless. "Found a news clip. Vincent's tied to a missing bride case in Nashville." Mira's sketch fell, her heart racing, the locket heavy. Vincent's sedan idled outside, its silver-ringed driver visible through the glass. Jasper stood, his protective stance firm, suspense rising like dust in the church's sacred quiet, Mira's hand trembling in his. The fairground twinkled, Willow Creek's annual lights casting a glow over cotton candy stalls. Jasper led Mira and Ivy through the crowd, his wristband soft, humming a blues tune to ease Mira's nerves. Ivy ran to the carousel, her star hairpin catching the lights, Mira laughing beside her, her locket glinting. "She's your heart," Mira said, her sweater loose, eyes soft. Jasper nodded, their hands brushing, warmth spreading. "You're part of it now, Mira." They shared a cotton candy cloud, Mira's gown a distant memory under Ruth's knit. A memory flashed, Vincent's voice low, "You'll never leave." She stumbled, her locket swinging, and Jasper caught her, steady. "I've got you," he said, his eyes locking with hers, romance deepening in the fair's fleeting magic. Ivy waved from a pony ride, her crane flapping, oblivious to the tension. "Turn." Caleb texted, his beanie-shadowed face in the frame, a photo of Vincent at a gala, Mira on his arm, his ring stark. "He's here, Jasper," the message read. Jasper scanned the crowd, spotting Vincent's silver ring glinting near the Ferris wheel. Suspense surged, the carousel's music twisting into a haunting beat, Mira's hand tightening in his. The library's lamplight bathed Willow Creek's shelves, books whispering in the dusk. Mira sat with Jasper, her locket trembling, Caleb's laptop glowing across the table. "This is you," Caleb said, showing a gala photo, Mira in a silk gown, Vincent's ringed hand on her arm. Mira's origami star crumpled in her fist, her voice a whisper. "I don't remember him." Jasper's wristband creased, his hum a steady pulse. "You're not his, Mira," he said, his hand covering hers, warm and sure. A memory surged, a locked room, Vincent's cold smile, a vow she didn't want. Mira gasped, sketching it frantically on scrap paper, lines jagged. Ivy folded a crane nearby, her hairpin glinting, voice soft. "This is for you, Mira." The crane calmed her, grounding her shaking hands. Vincent's note slipped under the library door. "Time's up." Jasper's eyes darkened, snatching it, suspense gripping the room's quiet. T. Mira's sketch trembled in her hand, her locket heavy, but Jasper's steady gaze held her, their bond a lifeline against the past, clawing back. The diner's neon flickered, coffee steaming, Ruth's scarves spilling over the counter. Jasper showed her Vincent's note, his wristband tight, Mira beside him, her locket catching the light. "He's coming for her," Jasper said, his hum low, urgent. Ruth slammed a mug down, gray hair loose. Not in my town, he ain't. Ivy colored in a booth, her star hairpin glinting, Mira folding a paper star for her, their fingers brushing. You're so brave, Mira said, her voice soft, eyes on Ivy's crayon swirls. Jasper's hand grazed hers, romance anchoring them. You're braver, he murmured. Caleb burst in, beanie crooked, breathless. Vincent's asking around the gas station. Locals gathered, their faces weathered but fierce, boots scuffing the linoleum. Mira's ours, Ruth declared, scarf raised. Vincent stepped in, his suit crisp, silver ring gleaming. Mira, enough games, he said, voice smooth. Jasper stood, broad and unyielding. Get out. The diner erupted, locals crowding Vincent, who retreated, his eyes cold. Suspense lingered, but Jasper's hand held Mira's, the neon's hum a fragile shield. The cabin's fire crackled, the creek's murmur weaving through the night. Jasper and Mira sat, Ivy asleep, her star hairpin glinting on a paper crane. You don't have to fight this alone, Jasper said, his wristband creased, humming a soft blues note. Mira's locket glowed, her origami star clutched tight. You're my home, Jasper, she said, her voice raw, eyes shimmering. They stepped to the creek, her sweater soft, Jasper's hand steadying her against the damp grass. I'm falling for you, he said, his eyes warm, unguarded. Mira kissed him, fierce, her locket pressing against his chest, romance blooming like fireflies. A memory flashed, Vincent's ring, a forced ring on her finger, cold and wrong. She pulled back, trembling. He owned me, she whispered, fear surfacing. Jasper held her, his hum strong, unwavering. You're free, Mira. Vincent's sedan idled in the distance, its headlights cutting through the fog, suspense coiling tighter. Mira clung to Jasper, their love a quiet rebellion against the shadow creeping closer to Willow Creek. The church's pews glowed, stained glass scattering rainbows across Willow Creek's heart. Jasper and Mira knelt with Ivy, his wristband damp, her locket catching the light. Ruth prayed nearby, her scarf half knit, voice steady. We're family now, she said, eyes on Mira. Mira nodded, her origami star folded tight in her sweater, a memory stirring, a vow she didn't choose, a man's shadow. Caleb rushed in, his beanie askew, panting. Vincent's at the fairground, asking for Mira. Jasper's hum faltered, his hand tightening on Mira's. We'll stop him, he said, voice steel. Locals gathered, their voices rising, flannel and denim, a wall of grit. Mira stood, her locket warm, voice steady. I'm not his anymore. Ivy hugged her, hairpin glinting, small hands fierce. You're ours, Mira. Vincent's sedan parked outside, his silver ring visible through the church's window. Jasper faced the door, broad and unyielding, suspense rising like a storm in the sanctuary's quiet. Mira's breath hitching as their love faced its test. The fairground pulsed, Willow Creek's lights twinkling, carousel music eerie in the mist. Jasper led Mira and Ivy through the crowd, his wristband tight, humming a fierce blues tune. Mira's locket swayed, her origami star in her pocket, fear pooling in her eyes. He's here, she whispered, a memory sharp, Vincent's voice cold. You'll never escape. Vincent emerged from the shadows, his silver ring glinting, suit crisp despite the damp. Mira, come home, he said, his smile ablade. Jasper stepped forward, voice like iron. She is home. Locals gathered, Ruth clutching her scarf, Caleb filming with his phone, beanie low. Mira faced Vincent, her locket warm, voice bold. I'm not yours. Vincent lunged, his ringed hand reaching, but Jasper blocked him, fists clenched, eyes blazing. The crowd surged, pushing Vincent back, his sedan's tires screeching as he fled. Oh. Suspense peaked, then eased. Mira clinging to Jasper, their romance a steady flame in the fairground's fading lights. Ivy's crane flapping in her small hand. Nah. The library's lamplight glowed, books whispering in Willow Creek's dusk. Mira sat with Jasper, her locket trembling, Caleb's laptop open on the oak table. I remember, she said, sketching, a mansion's marble halls, Vincent's ring, a forced engagement to a man who owned her. He controlled me, she whispered, her voice raw, pencil snapping. Touched. Jasper's wristband creased, his hum a steady lifeline. You're free now, Mira, he said, his hand warm over hers. Ivy folded a crane across the table, her star hairpin glinting, voice soft. This is for you, Mira. The crane steadied her, grounding her shaking fingers. Caleb pulled up a news article. Vincent's fiancée, Mira Vale, vanished before a Nashville wedding. That's me, Mira said, heart racing, her locket heavy. A note slipped under the door. I'll find you. Jasper snatched it, his eyes dark, suspense curling like fog. Mira's sketch trembled, but her hand in Jasper's was a vow, their love stronger than the past, clawing at her. The diner's neon burned, coffee steaming, Ruth's scarves bright on the counter. Mira stood, her locket warm, Jasper beside her, his wristband soft against his wrist. I'm Mira Vale, she said, her voice steady, clear. Vincent won't take me. Ivy clapped, her star hairpin glinting. Origami stars scattered around her crayons, a child's faith unwavering. Ruth hugged her, scarf soft, voice fierce. You're ours, girl. Caleb showed a shaky video, Vincent's sedan circling Willow Creek's outskirts. Jasper's hum grew fierce, his hand on Mira's shoulder. We'll end this. Locals rallied, their faces bold, boots scuffing the linoleum. Mira faced Jasper, romance blazing in her eyes. You gave me back myself, she said, kissing him soft but sure. Vincent stepped in, his silver ring gleaming, voice cold. Mira, last chance. She stood tall, locket glinting. I'm home. The diner roared, locals crowding Vincent, who fled, his sedan vanishing into the mist. Suspense faded, Jasper's arms around Mira, their love of victory in the neon's steady hum. The cabin's fire glowed, the creek's murmur a quiet song outside. Jasper and Mira sat, Ivy asleep, her star hairpin resting on a paper crane. Thou. You're my everything, Jasper said, his wristband creased, humming a soft blues tune. Mira's locket glowed, her origami star in her hand, eyes shimmering. You're my future, Jasper, she said, her voice warm, steady. They stood by the creek, her sweater soft against the night air, Jasper's hand steadying her. Stay with us, he said, offering a silver ring, engraved willow, its weight a promise. Mira nodded, tears falling, kissing him fiercely, her locket pressing against his chest. Ruth's call crackled, a community fair to celebrate Mira's freedom. Ivy woke, clapping, her voice bright. You're my mom now, Mira. Mira's heart swelled, romance sealing their family in the firelight. A final memory flashed. Vincent's mansion, its cold halls now dust in her mind. Mira was free, her love for Jasper and Ivy her true anchor, the creek's whisper a vow of forever. The fairground blazed, Willow Creek's lights twinkling under a star-strewn sky. Jasper, Mira, and Ivy walked hand in hand, his wristbands soft, her locket glinting, Ivy's star hairpin catching the glow. Ruth served soup at a stall, her scarf bright, locals dancing to a fiddle's tune. Your family, Ruth said, hugging Mira, her gray hair loose. Mira helped Ivy ride the carousel, their laughter blending with the music, hooves thumping. Jasper watched, humming, the silver ring on Mira's finger catching the light. We built this, he said, his voice low, warm. Mira nodded, her origami star folded tight in her pocket. Together, she said, leaning into him. Caleb filmed the scene, his beanie crooked, sharing their story online, a beacon of hope. D. A donor called, offering funds for a community center, Mira's idea, a place for Willow Creek's heart. Suspense gone, romance and love glowed, the fairground's joy cementing their home, Ivy's cranes soaring in her small hand. The creek sparkled, Willow Creek's heart alive under dawn's soft light. Jasper and Mira, married under ancient oaks, ran a community center, its walls adorned with Ivy's origami stars, cranes, comets, galaxies. Ruth knitted scarves for newcomers, her gray hair tied back. Caleb taught kids coding, his beanie a fixture. No shadows lingered, only the warmth of love and chosen family. Nut. At dusk, they sat by the creek, Mira's locket warm against her chest, Jasper's wristband creased, Ivy's star hairpin glinting in her braid. We found each other, Mira said, her origami star framed on the cabin's wall, a relic of her journey. Jasper hummed, his hand in hers, blues notes soft. Always, Mira. Ivy ran past, her crane soaring, a family etched in starlight, their laughter mingling with the creek's song. Thank you for joining Timeline Stories for Single Dad Saves a Crying Bride from a Highway Crash. She doesn't remember who she was running from. A tale of rescue, love, and courage. If Jasper and Mira's journey stirred your soul, like, share, subscribe. Every heart finds its home, every story shines. See you in the next tale.